Utah's Morning News is brought to you by Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Joining us live in studio again, Dr. Mark Hiatt, Executive Medical Director of Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah. Doc, good to see you.
Good to see you, Tim.
There's a couple of things floating out there, the interesting headlines about cancer today, and one of them is a new way to detect breast cancer. So what is it?
Well, Tim, mammography, of course, remains the conventional means to screen for breast cancer. But it's interesting that researchers in Salt Lake City have begun this study to determine if a blood test can be effective in screening for breast cancer.
A blood test? How does this whole thing work?
Well, it's thought, Brian, that the blood test would be able to detect these tiny pieces or fragments of dying tumor cells in the circulating blood, and that this blood test may be able to do so sooner than mammography can detect breast cancer.
So do we know what the accuracy of something like that is?
We don't know yet. That's why these researchers are beginning this years-long study to determine the reliability and accuracy of this test.
Is this a replace of mammography, or what are we talking about here?
We're thinking that this blood test, if shown to be accurate and reliable, wouldn't really make mammography obsolete.
Okay.
Rather, it would complement that conventional approach by first detecting and identifying earlier the breast cancer, and then mammography would be used to identify the location of the cancer so that it could be treated.
Well, all the women in my life would cheer that if they
no
could
kidding.
avoid the mammography.
Exactly.
Also, this interesting study or find about the connection between sugar and cancer. I saw it as a headline that sounded revolutionary, and yet we learned that it might verify some beliefs of a German researcher 100 years ago?
Yes, back in 1924, this researcher, a German physiologist, and in fact a Nobel laureate, Otto Warburg, discovered that cancer uses sugar at a much faster rate than normal cells do in order to fuel cancer's rapid growth.
It's just using the sugar in the body faster than every other cell. That's interesting. So they found what based on that?
Well, the researchers in Belgium recently discovered that high levels of glucose seem to overstimulate the same proteins found mutated in human tumors, and that it seems that this glucose, this type of sugar, may be used by these cells really to fuel their growth.
Am I wrong that the average men and women out there probably consume twice as much of that stuff as they should anyway?
That's right. Really, the recommendation is that you consume no more than 6 teaspoons of sugar per day for women and 9 teaspoons for men. And Americans are consuming about double that amount.
I'm thinking of a teaspoon right now. That's not a lot of sugar compared to what some of these even energy drinks and things that are people are consuming these days.
Well, I'm surprised they put it in everything, even your French fries, man.
Yeah, it literally is. It's everywhere.
And your bread and everything else has sugar in it. So something to keep a mind of.
You
All
betcha.
right. Thank you, Dr. Mark Hiatt. This portion of Utah's Morning News brought to you by Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield.